Are you tired of the same old pro wrestling? Then check out the amazing action on Powerslam.tv, the biggest indie pro wrestling channel in the world. Get over 4,000 hours of the best pro wrestling events from over 110 of the biggest names in the industry from over 15 countries around the globe. Get your free trial today at Powerslam.tv.
Welcome to episode 55, ladies and gentlemen, of The Blade Job. I am joined by Jon, Scott. The fuck? Where'd everybody go? Well, I guess I'm alone. I don't know, but I just wish there was someone here to talk to. You know, I just so like I had a British person. Someone from a place on the sea. I don't know. Oh, well. Oh, hey, Matt. Oh, what's up? When did you get here?
I just thought I'd drop in, see how you doing, JRT. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing really well. How are you? I feel like it's been forever since we've talked that's not on Twitter.
Yeah, September, last time we spoke properly. That's when I kicked your backside on my Hell in a Cell prediction show. Of course, RJ beat us all, of course, but...
He did, but he cheated.
Because he was better.
Because... I was going to say because he's thinner than I am. But that's
I'm thinner than you are, JRT, to be fair, so...
I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to slim down. Anyways, but welcome to episode 55 of The Blade Job. I am JRT. Please feel free to follow us on Twitter at The Blade Job Show. You can follow Scott and Jon, I guess, but they're not here. Follow Jon at Blade Job J Olin, maybe, and follow Scott at Blade Job Perkins. But hey, Matt, where can we follow you? Where can we become Matt attackers?
Well, you can join the Matt Attack army by following the Matt Attack UK. Or you can follow me and Graham Bagshaw at Good Bad Wrestle. Or you can follow me and Alex on the Matt Alex Game Pod.
You do a lot of podcasting.
And I've got a lot, and I've got a few more coming out this year as well.
Are you're gonna do something with Mike and Mags, I'm assuming?
I've already recorded with Mike and Mags. That's coming out this week.
So first and foremost, Mike and Mags, I mean, come on. I'm here. I'm available for like 30 minutes once a day. This should be a no-brainer, but it is what it is. So let's get right into it, because I know you and I have a lot to catch up on.
We do.
First, I want to go to my notes real quick and just let everybody know that still, breaking news, Jay White is a bag of dicks. Moving on.
That's a given, isn't it?
I hate Jay White. I just want to throw that out there. I don't have anything against him as a person. I'm sure he's a fine individual, an upstanding member of society, but he's boring. And they're like, New Japan's like, oh, we just lost everyone. Everyone left. Who do we put in charge of the Bullet Club? It's Jay White.
Are we talking Lance Storm boring, or...?
I like Lance Storm. A lot of his boringness, I feel, came from the character he was trying to portray of just straight-laced pro wrestler.
If I could be
Jay
serious
White,
for a moment.
Yeah, like, it was a bit most of the time for him. Jay White's just, like... He looks like... who is it? It's the tall, lanky kid in Hey Arnold. With a really big nose.
Jared.
Who's always... No, maybe. I don't know.
I think
he's just annoying. He's just a random, like, nerdy kid he's like in the peripheral. He's a tall, lanky white guy.
No idea. Oh, hang on. I should do what Scott does. To the internet.
To the internet. Scott, I keep forgetting he's not here. He's never here. This guy does 2 shifts in a row. This guy's supposed to be certified. So... You know what? Let's make this a casual conversation. What do you want to talk about? What's a topic that's close to your heart?
What's close to my heart? What I'd like close to my heart is Finn Balor. So let's talk Finn Balor, shall we? Let's talk the fact that he's now in the Universal title match.
So
how the hell has it happened?
Before we get to Finn, I want to talk about the ADD that WWE has when it comes to Braun Strowman.
Okay.
It's like, Braun Strowman, look at him. He's got a title match. He's got this. He's going to main event this. He's going to do this. Never mind. Like, they just keep putting him in matches and then removing him. Now, with that being said, Finn Balor, based on the performance between Brock Lesnar and Daniel Bryan at
Survivor Series.
Survivor. Yeah, you're right. Survivor Series.
Of course I'm right. I'm always right.
I'm usually not, according to Scott. Daniel Bryan, you could tell during that match he made Brock Lesnar enjoy himself for the first time in a long time. Absolutely. When it comes to wrestling.
I mentioned that on Good Cop, Bad Cop. Lesnar actually looked happy to bump for him. And you don't see Lesnar bumping for people.
He was selling. He was, he was shocked. Like, I can't believe I can't beat this guy. Like, it made me feel like Brock Lesnar was a pro wrestler again and not just an MMA fighter who showed up and is getting handed everything like Ronda Rousey.
The really weird thing is that Lesnar's actually been sticking around a lot more. I've been making a lot more appearances since he won the title back at Crown Jewel.
He has.
He's still not been around as much as he should be, but he's making a lot more appearances. People seem to be missing that.
I think that Lesnar, it's pretty clear that we're coming to the end of Lesnar's current deal.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So I think maybe I don't want to say he's letting his guard down, but he's not, since he knows he's not in a situation where he has to renegotiate right now, because it sounds like he's taking time away. He's just enjoying himself again. Because if you look at Brock Lesnar back in 02, 03, 04, like, he really did look like he was happy to be there. That he was actually enjoying being a pro wrestler. But now, I mean, obviously over the past 5 years or so, he's just been, it looks like he's bored half the time. Like, he shows up, he gets his paycheck, and they show, like, the clips of him, like, immediately leaving the arena. And normally, like, if Triple H did that, he leaves the arena, cameras turn off, he walks right back in and goes back to his office. Lesnar, I firmly believe, leaves and goes to his hotel room because he has no interest in being there anymore. But Finn Balor. Now, Balor is a guy, I like Daniel Bryan. I've always been a Daniel Bryan fan. I also like Finn Balor. I've always been a Finn Balor fan. From a technical standpoint, especially since Daniel had his injury, Finn Balor is the superior performer. And I think that if Daniel Bryan could bring that out of Lesnar, I think Balor and Lesnar is going to be a hell of a match. I think that is going to be probably the match of the card. And I've been bored with Universal title matches for 2 years. So, well, what do you think? Do you think that Brock and Finn is the match we've been waiting for when it comes to Brock Lesnar, at least?
Sorry, I was just thinking about Finn Balor.
It happens.
Yeah, it happens all the time with me. You know me. It's the first question you've got to ask is it going to be normal Finn or is it going to be Demon Finn? Because if it's Demon Finn, it changes the entire complexity of a match around immediately. I, for one, think that Finn will pull everything out of Brock. I mean, a lot of people have been saying this is obviously going to be someone being fed to Lesnar so he can move on to WrestleMania to face Seth Rollins when he wins the Royal Rumble. I, for one, don't think Seth Rollins is going to win the Royal Rumble. Listen to the Matt Attack this week to find out who I did pick for that. That's a little plug. I couldn't really get a cheap pop in. But I think that people are forgetting what happened 15 years ago.
I forgot what happened 15 minutes ago.
That's true, but 15 years ago, Brock Lesnar defended the WWE Championship against a much smaller guy, wasn't given a hope in hell, and Brock Lesnar was feuding with a guy who was much bigger and was not involved in the title match. What happened? Lesnar lost the championship to Eddie Guerrero.
Viva la razza.
Yes, definitely. He lost it to Eddie Guerrero, and I'm drawing so many comparisons here. because it's almost exactly the same build for it.
It is. And honestly, you're right.
And I'll say this: as soon as Vince said on Monday Night Raw, Finn Balor hadn't got enough beef about him to be considered, I'm like, he's going to be facing him at the Rumble. It was so obvious it was going to happen.
Yeah.
And obviously, you know me, I'm the biggest Finn Balor fan in the room. Kayfabe aside, Finn Balor is, for me, the best in-ring performer on the Raw brand.
He might be the best in-ring performer in the company.
AJ Styles on SmackDown. So the two of them together, what I want to see. And I love Seth Rollins, don't get me wrong. But, you know, Rollins has been on the cup of been a main event for years. Whereas Finn Balor had one match before he got injured in the main event thing.
And that's very true. I mean, Balor's a guy who's just like, you know, I mean, I saw bits and pieces of Balor before he went to NXT, but it was always just kind of in passing. Like, I was never like a Devitt fan. It was just more like, yeah, I've seen this guy. He's really good. And then when he got to NXT, I really went back and I kind of watched his evolution of the character, you know, his time in the Bullet Club and his time on the Indies. And like, you know, before the Demon, when the quote unquote Demon was just kind of like a rotating, what's the word? Like, cast of personas that he would take on. Like, he did the Joker and he did, you know, he's done things similar to the Demon, but now he's got like the Demon is like that inner vicious side of him that, I mean, hell, in 2K it's actually got two different stats. You know, you've got Finn Balor and you've got the Demon, which I think is stupid, but
I know, it's bizarre, isn't it?
That's for a different show.
I will say that Finn Balor and Finn Balor Demon are currently the Raw Tag Team Champions on my game.
I mean, makes sense.
Yeah,
they should be. I think with this whole, I haven't seen this new era that they've been talking about yet. I've seen shades of what could become this new era of WWE. You can see that they are trying some new things and they are trying to mature their product a little bit without going back to the Attitude Era. They're trying to find this happy middle ground of PG and TV-14.
The brief push of Apollo Crews the other week, for example. No one saw that coming. Beautiful. A thing of beauty.
No, absolutely. And then you've got something like Balor. And I'm wondering because everyone kind of expects Brock Lesnar to retain, just because this is business. At the end of the day, it's business, and if Brock Lesnar is going to bring money in the main event of WrestleMania, Brock Lesnar is going to be in the main event of WrestleMania. I think, though, that if you want to you're going to sell out WrestleMania one way or the other. Like, really, you don't need to worry about that. It's WrestleMania. You're going to have people there.
Yeah.
If you really want to make those people go home happy, that main event should be Rollins and Balor or Styles and Balor or something like that.
Rollins, Balor, could you imagine that at WrestleMania? Demon
the
Balor.
Main event of WrestleMania.
It would be the main event. It'd be secondary main event, but yeah.
Well, I don't even want to get into that because then I will do 45 minutes on why I'm against that, and I'm not against women.
You're against an 8 on a 4-on-4 match, really?
There's a 4-on-4 match? Wait, what?
I'm predicting it to be the 4 horsemen of UFC versus the 4 horsemen of WWE at this year's WrestleMania.
In the main event?
Yep. Not necessarily out of a 4-on-4, but certainly 1-on-1 with the other 3 around the ring for each team.
Yeah, which, I mean, would stand to reason they would probably be Ronda and, you know, Ronda Charlotte,
Woo!
Ronda Becky, whoever. See, I don't know. Even though Ronda, in my opinion, Ronda has proved herself as a competent performer. She's going to do fine.
Yeah,
and I'm happy
fantastic.
that she's there. But the fact that the first thing she ever said when she stepped into the ring and cut her first promo was that I don't want any handouts. And it just feels like kayfabe, 100% storyline wise. If she didn't want any handouts, why did she debut at WrestleMania? Because people who had been there for 5 years have still never wrestled at WrestleMania. That feels like a handout.
That reminded me of when Zack Ryder, when he won the IC title in that ladder match, it was the first time he'd ever had his music played at WrestleMania. And he'd wrestled there countless times.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And that was, you know what, I got to say, like, a lot of people, you know, say, like, Zack Ryder has never been properly utilized. There was a time, there was a good year, 2 years, when he was the top of the mid-card. He was the mid-card. Him winning the U.S. title off of Ziggler at TLC a number of years ago was one of the biggest pops I've ever heard in my entire life. Like, that was epic.
Absolutely.
I was at a house show. No, it was a Raw. I think it was a Raw. It was a Raw in Boston. And the main event was the dark match main event. It was one of your traditional, like, you know, 8-man tag matches, the 4 faces versus the 4 heels, whatever. And on the face side, it was like Cena, it was CM Punk. Oh man, I can't even remember who else it was. But the entire crowd was just chanting, "We want Ryder." So Punk jumps off the apron, sprints to the back. He's gone for about 5 minutes, and then Zack Ryder's music hits, and Zack Ryder comes out and joins the match. Obviously, it's a dark match. They can have a little more fun with it, but he was over, and they did screw it up because he should be a multi-time IC champion before, obviously, things changed. I think he should have been World Heavyweight Champion. He might not have been ready for WWE Championship, but World Heavyweight, he would have done fine. He would have had a really fun run with it, too, because he was a fun character.
Is it too late for him now?
I don't think so, but at the same time, if I was WWE, obviously, we all know WWE, they may not respond, but they are completely aware of the conversations that happen on Twitter and on Facebook and Reddit and things like that. They are aware because they've got social media people who scour this shit, looking for what people are pissed off about, looking for what people like, because it's marketing. That's all. Like, spoiler alert, guys, Twitter is a marketing tool, and you are the targets. Like, that's all it is.
Absolutely.
And I feel like internet wrestling fans, personalities, whatever you want to call them, have already given up on Ryder ever getting anything in WWE, and everyone just expects him to just leave. Now, first and foremost, why would he leave when for the first time in 2 years, his girlfriend just got signed? He actually finally gets to see his girlfriend for once, instead of them both being on the road for 2 separate companies.
Exactly.
Why would he leave? It's the same reason why I predict that Marty Scurll signs with WWE, because you send him and Deonna Purrazzo to NXT UK, good to go, you know? Because from what I've heard is that she wanted to move to England to be with him.
Can I say,
so either
that's a perfect little segue there. I wanted to.
Ooh, segues.
Yeah, perfect segue you gave me there, because you mentioning NXT UK. Have you seen NXT UK take over Blackpool yet?
I have not, but I've seen most of what happened.
Okay.
So please feel free.
First, we did the Good Cop Bad Cop on it last week. Came up on the network. Check it out. Please do check it out. It's one of the best shows ever. I'm actually lost for words for a change, which is a rare thing, I know. Because that was the best pay-per-view of 2019. And I'm aware that recording date is the 20th of January. It's the best pay-per-view that WWE will produce all year.
Wow, it is the 20th. I can't believe that.
It is. It's going to be better than the Royal Rumble. It's going to be better than SummerSlam, better than Survivor Series, and dare I say it is going to be better than motherfucking WrestleMania.
But
no buts.
Will it be better than TakeOver Phoenix or TakeOver New York?
Yes.
See, that is to be seen.
Reason
I do really want to watch NXT UK because I am a fan
that
of
was my
a lot of the promotions.
That's my first ever seeing of NXT UK. I live in the UK. I hadn't watched any NXT UK at all before that, and it blew my mind. The crowd was unbelievably visceral. The first match alone, so psychotic they were. And then the chant in the final match with Pete Dunne and Joe Coffey, it's not a spoiler I say this, they were chanting, "Are you watching Vince McMahon?" Which is a thing we do in the UK, where basically it's like, "Are you watching Vince McMahon?" That chant basically means, "Are you watching?" Because these guys are on fucking fire right now. But,
I do want to point out, excuse me, that yesterday I received a text message from a friend of mine at 7:43 a.m. In which case he simply said, "Takeover was fucking incredible."
Yes,
that's it. That was the only thing. He then said he'd see me on Sunday for the Rumble, but that's neither here nor there. I'm happy that there is another inter-promotion within WWE that is being spearheaded by Triple H, because the reason that the NXT brands, I think, are going so smoothly is because Triple H, Regal, Johnny Saint, the guys that are HBK, the guys that are running behind the scenes are for the most part saying, okay, you and you are going to be feuding. You are going to have a match tonight. We are going to lead you into TakeOver where you'll have a match for X title. Here you go. Have fun. Figure it out. Because at the same time, NXT is still developmental. It's unfortunate, but it is the way it is. And the only way to make them better is to throw them to the wolves and let them do what they do best. And that means, they're coming up with promos. They're coming up with matches. They're doing this as opposed to Raw, where they're handed a script and they're handed pretty much a bullet point of what they're supposed to do in their match and been like, all right, go out and do it, monkey.
It's like you said on an episode, I think it was last week's episode, you said that someone tried giving Heyman a script once, and he basically tore it up and threw it back in their face, which I loved. The problem with that NXT UK takeover had is that it set that bar now. The opening match is, and I mean this quite literally, that is the best tag team match you will see all year. Without a shadow of a doubt. Doesn't matter what they throw at you, doesn't matter who they throw at you, it will be the best tag match you will see all year. The women's match is the best women's match you'll see all year. And Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch, if I've said this on the show, Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch, if you are the ones in the wrestling for the title at Mania, you better bring your fucking A game, because Toni Storm and Rhea Ripley stole the show. Absolutely fantastic. And I hope Vince was not watching NXT TakeOver.
So funny enough is, according to his Twitter account, which we now know is fake, he said he was watching TakeOver.
I hope he wasn't.
So that actually kind of proves my point of, Ronda, Becky, we hope you were watching, because this is what you have to live up to. Ronda does not have the ability to live up to those kinds of matches yet. At all. She will. I think Becky could. Like, I would love to see, like, Becky Lynch, Toni Storm. Like, I think that would be insane.
Absolutely. Some people are saying that Rhea and Toni are in the top 5 competitors in the world right now, and they're fighting on the UK brand, and that makes me incredibly proud. But the big problem I have with developmental is that when they get called up, what happens to them? They get lost in the shuffle.
Pretty much, yeah.
Let me put it this way. 2 of the best tag teams in NXT, Sanity and AOP. Where are they?
Sure. I couldn't tell you. I don't remember the last time I saw AOP. They were tag champs for like 8 minutes.
AOP lost the tag titles when their manager got pinned in a 3-on-2 handicap match, and we haven't seen Sanity since Survivor Series pre-show.
And we know that Nikki Cross is on her way up. Yeah. But where the hell are they? You know, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, it's something which drives me crazy. And I shared my concerns about call-ups because on Good Cop Bad Cop, I can elaborate a little bit here, a bit more, I suppose. It's just it terrifies me that some people do get called up and do get pushed to the hill. Charlotte, Becky, Sasha, Nia, Alexa, some fantastic women got called up, and of course at one point they didn't have a women's division really in NXT because they called up so many in one go.
That's true.
And then you look at the talent that's on the NXT rosters. I mean, No Way Jose got called up, and it didn't work, did it?
I mean, I'll be fair. I didn't like No Way Jose in NXT. I think that gimmick has been so overdone. He was essentially just Adam Rose.
Adam Rose Mark II, and it didn't work for him. So
yeah, and Adam Rose was actually on drugs during that. Like, how can you not do better than a dude who was strung out when he had that gimmick?
I will say one thing. It does say something that when Adam Rose's gimmick, the standout thing with that was Justin Gabriel in a fucking bunny suit.
Oh, yeah.
And they were Braun Strowman, as Scott said.
Alexa Bliss. I mean, everyone was in his entourage.
Yeah. Absolutely. And we have Braun Strowman in a tiny hat as well, which is something that he will never live down. Yes.
And it's tough when it comes, because you got to take yourself back for a second. You got to think for a second. Like, obviously, at the end of the day, the dream, the actual be-all, end-all dream of most professional wrestlers is to wrestle on Monday Night Raw, wrestle on SmackDown, wrestle at WrestleMania. They want to be there because that's the pinnacle. That's the highest you can get in this sport. And you can make the argument New Japan will. No. WWE's the biggest pro wrestling company in the world, and
absolutely,
I don't care what AEW does. They're not going to topple them in a week. You know, they have the big. They're not fighting an uphill battle. They're fighting an up Mount Kilimanjaro battle. Like, they have to get to the peak of Mount Olympus, and they need to dine with the gods. Absolutely, and we've seen in the past that billionaire-backed companies struggle against Vince McMahon. Look at WCW. They had everything going for them, and they still lost because they went the wrong ways. But WWE is an entirely different story, of course. I mean, AEW. I mean, I'm excited to see what they're going to bring up. I'm excited about it, but Absolutely. At the same time, people. I mean, you've jumped with me on Twitter about people taking sides already. I mean, like, oh my God.
It's not about that, guys. Can't we all get along? I mean,
and that's the thing.
Certain guys leaving to go to AEW because they're not getting featured. That I can understand because they want to be wrestling, they want to be earning money. I get that. But AEW are going to push WWE to be better, and WWE are going to push AEW to be better. If AEW even get a TV deal. I haven't even heard them get a concrete deal for that yet. And it's so much more difficult to produce a weekly TV show if they're going to do a weekly TV show. I mean, everyone assumed that AEW are going to come in and they're going to be straight out the pan, they'll be competing with Vince McMahon at the best thing he can do. I mentioned it briefly on Good Cop, Bad Cop. Vince McMahon, if I may borrow your phrase, is a fucking billionaire who's off his head with ego. And the Khans, who own the Jacksonville Jaguars, Fulham Football Club here in the UK, and as Matt and other businesses, they've placed 100 million behind AEW. Now, that's not small change, I grant you, but that ain't gonna last them long in this business.
No, they need to come out swinging. And actually, speaking of that, someone, honestly, I can't remember who. It's not one of the regular people that interact with us on Twitter on the regular, but it was someone. Maybe someone retweeted them or something. And they said that the reason that they believed that AEW was going to come out swinging and AEW was going to be a major force was because when WCW launched Nitro, they took it really quickly. Like, they became the top-rated program very, very quickly. But what people don't understand is WCW was on national television long before that. They had Saturday night on TBS, and they had Main Event on Sunday nights. They had pay-per-views already. They had Hogan. They had, Macho Man. They had Lex Luger on the first episode. And yeah, Nitro did take off really quickly, but WCW was an established pro wrestling brand.
Absolutely.
The NWA still meant something, and everyone knew that WCW came from NWA. It wasn't like AEW is nothing. I said it last week on the show. I've said it on Twitter. I don't know how many people I've alienated, but AEW does not get a free pass just because it's Cody Rhodes and the Bucks. I don't give a shit who you are. I don't give a shit who your father is. I don't give a shit how you did in New Japan. Just because you are who you are doesn't mean you can do a shitty program and it just gets 5 stars from Uncle Dave. It has to be
Don't swear at me. Do not swear at me. That's the worst. No, do not swear at me and say his fucking name in my presence.
Don't worry. I will never, ever say his last name.
Never ever say his first name either.
I hate him.
After what came out about his reviews, I have no interest in ever discussing him on a podcast again. Ever.
Can I just say he's a piece of shit and we can move on?
Call him a fucking cunning piece of shit if you want.
Fucking cunt piece of shit. Anyways, AEW.
Graham, I apologise for that. I really apologise for that, Graham. I've got to apologise at this point because he is going to be listening to this and he's going to probably chew me out for saying that out loud. Sorry.
It's fine. It's not his show. I didn't swear on his podcast, so you can swear all you want on mine.
Yeah, I know, but that's saying that is one thing a Brit does not say.
He will get over it. You go down when you get here at the end of March. You can apologize to him then, or he'll forget about it.
He will forget.
So he never forgets.
So,
the problem is, I think a lot of people are going to go into AEW with too much of an open mind. They're going to just accept whatever they do, which is the exact same thing that brought us to where we are with WWE. Is we just accepted it. There was no fight for change. It was just, yeah, this is how it is now. And AEW, people are saying how good it's going to be because of how good All In was. First, shut the fuck up. All In wasn't an AEW pay-per-view. It was a Ring of Honor pay-per-view that happened to be booked by someone else. That's all it was. Yeah. It was an okay show. It was not the best show.
What it did was it delivered on what I promised.
It did. It was a very big indie show, and that was great, and it was fun, and it had some surprises that I thought were really good. At the end of the day, I said, all right, that was fun. But
can you do it on a weekly basis is the question, isn't it? Can you do it on a weekly basis?
Exactly, yes. Can you do it weekly? I mean, hell, take weekly out of the equation. Can you do it monthly? Can you continue with this? And not to mention, what is your game plan? What is your game plan, AEW, for content distribution?
Absolutely.
How do I view your content? Because if you're going to ask me to spend $45 on Fight every month to watch your pay-per-views, guess how many I'm going to watch? 1. And then I'm never going to watch it ever again. Because I'm from a time, you're from a time, when WWF and WCW pay-per-views were $40 a piece. I watched both. I was, saving my allowance so I could watch Halloween Havoc and In Your House in the same month.
Yeah.
But now we're spoiled. We have the WWE Network. We have whatever the independent wrestling.tv. We have powerslam.tv. Use code BladeJob to get 30 days free.
Nice transitioning there. Perfect timing.
Oh, no. Absolutely. We have SmartMark. I can buy DVDs for less than $20, $15. I can
Absolutely.
buy on-demand pay-per-view events for $6.
That's something that bugs me still, by the way, because we get the WWE Network here, and it's £9.99 here, which I'd like to point out is more than you guys are paying for it in America. Okay?
Correct.
But, okay, when you scale that up, okay, Sky TV here show WWE TV, right?
Yes.
So Raw, SmackDown, rah. They also have Sky Box Office, where they show sporting events like boxing and UFC, and they show WWE pay-per-views on there still.
Yep.
And it boggles my mind. It absolutely fries my mad-attacking mind. How on earth you can justify selling a pay-per-view? Now, I'm done basic math for you here. £25 is how much a WWE pay-per-view sells for on the box office channel, right? That translates to roughly $35, $40. Why would you pay that when you can get it for a quarter of the price?
So, I actually do have an answer for that, which is weird because I just happened to stumble across this and it made sense to me. First and foremost, I want to say I actually have a coworker who he purposely doesn't get the WWE Network because he knows that if he gets it, he's going to do nothing but watch wrestling all day long and his wife will leave him, which I understand. But for WrestleMania, for Royal Rumble, for big pay-per-views, he goes to Walmart, he gets the $10 1-month card, he puts it on, he uses it for a month, and then he waits until the next one.
But that's fine. But things, that's perfect. But
So
even so, £45 or
So I don't know how it is in England, but here in the States, there is a very big problem when it comes to internet connectivity. A lot of areas of the country are still on pretty much DSL internet, where streaming is almost non-existent. So for those places, having the pay-per-views available makes sense. I still think it's silly. If you live anywhere where you get internet worth a damn and you're paying $45 for a WWE pay-per-view, you're insane.
Yeah.
Because I pay $10 a month. I am going to watch TakeOver and the Royal Rumble this coming weekend. Last night, I watched 4 episodes of WCW Monday Nitro from 1995. Right off the bat, I have gotten way more than my $10 worth for this service.
Yeah.
Now, once again, I can understand because if you actually do some searching, you can find actual pay-per-view buy rates because they still report them.
Yeah, of course.
There's still like hundreds of thousands of pay-per-view purchases, not network, pay-per-view purchases on WWE events.
Yeah.
So I get it, but if you're listening, because I know we have some fans in Sweden, we have some fans in, what was another random one? Germany, I think we had a couple. If you're listening and you understand the language,
Work, trash can, do some work for a change. Come on.
If you are listening and you are spending $45 on a WWE pay-per-view and you have internet access, you're an idiot. And please keep listening and send us money because I'm poor.
You're poor.
Oh, yeah. Oh. I just quit smoking, so I have more money, which is nice. But now I'm just stressed out all the time because I don't have cigarettes anymore and I'm really angry about stuff. Like, I stood up and I was just pissed. Why am I standing? This is stupid. Like coming down here to record this show, I was just mad. I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad at me. I'm just mad.
Usually people are mad at me. It's fine.
Yeah, I'm mad attack. No,
Yeah.
that was stupid.
Actual.
AEW
Has clearly got you riled up. Definitely.
Oh yeah, I'm very interested in how they're going to distribute their content. Whether they have a TV deal, I'm more interested in their pay-per-view situation because it's not hard to launch your own streaming service at this point. There's companies that will do it for you, and all you have to do is pay maintenance, and you're gonna make your money back. Like it's very well possible. And if they can see I just don't see how the wrestling community, especially a community that expects everything at this point, is going to regress back 7 years, 6 years or whatever, to a time when we're spending $45 a month on pay-per-views. You know, I just don't see how that's possible.
I hope not.
You know, like, maybe your first one, I can understand. Maybe the first pay-per-view is on Fight TV or
a big one.
Or they partner with one of the existing indie streaming services like Independent Wrestling TV, Powerslam.tv, code BladeJob3 for 30 days. High Spot's network, because I think that's only like $10 a month or something like that. Because if they partner with something like that, they help that brand helps them. They already have the architecture in place to run a streaming service. You're good to go. But do not make me spend $45 on your pay-per-view, because I just won't do it. You know, I don't want to have to go back to the days where I had to invite 4 or 5 friends over just to afford the pay-per-view.
Absolutely not.
Like, it's 2019. I mean, I expect wrestling to be injected directly into my brain at this point. I expect to just you tap a machine on my head and I'm like, oh fuck, Finn Balor just won the fucking Universal Championship. Awesome. Like, then I can get back to what I was doing.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not giving you any more money, AEW, until you prove yourself. And I don't recommend anyone else do it either. I say we can support them as much as we can, but we do not allow them to get away with whatever they want just because they're Cody Rhodes and the Bucks.
One thing I want to say, and this will be the last thing we talk about, because otherwise we'll get bogged down in the business of it, I don't think. When they did that little press rally thing they did, and Jericho made an appearance and everything, which people say was a shock, really. Not really for me. It wasn't really a shock for me. What was the surprise? Everyone was surprised. Oh, Pac's here. I actually said, who?
I was confused for a second.
I don't know who he is.
It's Neville.
Who?
Adrian Neville?
Yeah, I know, but I haven't seen him for like 2 fucking years, so...
Well, yeah.
He's irrelevant.
And here... wow, you just segued me so hard. Last thing. Everyone. Oh, you know, the Revival wants out. Sasha Banks doesn't want out. No matter what she tweeted, she's not leaving.
Sasha Banks is in one of the main events at the Royal Rumble. If she wanted out, she wouldn't be in the match, kid.
Exactly. And people are like, oh, they're all going to leave and they're going to show up at AEW. They're going to show up at Double or Nothing, blah, blah, blah. No, they're not. The reason we haven't seen Neville in 2 years is because they froze his contract. They said, yeah, we'll let you go, but you can't do anything until your contract's up. Bye. And they sent him home, and he sat on his ass. No appearances, no autograph signings, no indie shows, nothing. They did the same thing to Del Rio, not that anyone cared.
Del Rio deserved the fucking book from what he did to Paige.
Del Rio's a douche.
I would happily get in the ring with Del Rio to defend Paige's honor. I know that he'd kill me.
I would happily get in the ring with Paige, and I'm going to leave it at that. But that's just me. I don't know. I'm going to tell you, that your accent, I mean, that's sexy.
I'm not... Well, thank you very much, but I'm pretty sure...
You're welcome.
I'm pretty sure that Chris would have words with you about that, so...
Hey, you know, Graham? Yeah.
Not Chris, not Graham, Chris, my other half. He would
I know, but I'm just saying, Graham, also sexy.
Leave at that, do not go any further.
Deech Kirkby. Paige, especially. But neither here nor there. You brought up something when we were talking a couple of days ago about doing this, and I actually just think it's going to be funny to talk about, so I'm going to bring it up. How about Enzo, right? I mean, what the hell's up with that guy? When I guessed on the Blade Job last June, I actually wanted to mention something about Enzo Amore that I'd heard that apparently was the plan for Raw 25, which was obviously this time last year. Yep.
And apparently, and I kid you not, this is apparently what was allegedly was the plan. This is from Enzo himself. Apparently, because he was Cruiserweight Champion, apparently, he was going to be playing a card game and lose the Cruiserweight Championship in a card game to someone, the APA probably.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then he'd be trying to get it back through the whole of the show. Nia Jax would eventually win it back in a card game, and then we have the brawl with Alexa Bliss, and that's how Alexa and Nia was going to build to WrestleMania, and it's all because of Enzo Amore. To which I am saying, and I'm going to say this with all the composure I can, without trying to sound like a complete lunatic, and without trying to sound like I am anything other than sincere. And I apologise in advance for everyone from the Matt Attack Army who knows me the way I do. Enzo Amore, you fucking... No one believes that bullshit. Are you really that so far your own fucking arse that you think that you would be the reason for two of the top women to actually wrestling at WrestleMania? No, you fucking aren't. Stop thinking you're that important. Seriously. You would make a song and dance based on Survivor Series this year because you actually want to be a centre of attention? You've now been banned from attending a stadium ever again for your bullshit. Okay? JRT asked me for my Q&A, is Enzo Amore at work? No, it's fucking not at work. He's just that fucking useless. When he had his legal troubles, he should have admitted them up front, and he should have been, because that's why he got fired, for not admitting he had legal troubles. I mean, ran over for now, but I'm pretty sure JRT's going to quiz me and it's going to sound wrong on a load of his stuff, probably.
So first and foremost, I want to let you know that you are the first person ever on the Blade Job who has used a banned word, and you are getting ring-belled, sir.
Word, I'm guessing.
We're going to bing that too, so we can't put you on blast, any of that. Trash can, you know what to do. I am not mad, because honestly, I was raised, so I want to bring this out real quick. I was raised where there is no such thing as a bad word. There is only bad intention. So I believe any word can be used in the proper situation. I actually agree with you 100% on Enzo. I think he is...
My bad.
No, honestly, I meant to post him at some point. It's really not that big of a deal. It's actually really funny to me because out of all of the shit that we have said, that's the first time it's ever happened. Except no, one of the first episodes we censored cunt. I don't know why.
Because it's the worst word you can say in England.
Yeah, but we're not in England.
We are.
We're in Auburn. Whoa! No, you're right there. You're in the basement right now. I'm sorry, the studio.
Fair enough.
Nobody knows.
Technically speaking, you're in the UK, mate. So.
Yo, I like your room. It's nice.
Cracking the rules. What I thought the face.
So, on the premise of Enzo, I actually think that there's genuine. I think when he says things like that, he genuinely believes them, and that's the problem. He has an overinflated ego, like a legitimate narcissistic disorder, in which case he thinks that he is the center of all attention, and he needs to be the center of all attention, or he explodes. And that's legit. I honestly kind of feel bad for the guy because he doesn't understand what he's doing is wrong. Now, I'm going to say something that is very, very unpopular. I liked Enzo's heel turn. I liked him as Cruiserweight Champion. I liked his storyline with Nia Jax. I thought it had a lot of potential, especially because you can't take it away from him. On the mic, he was one of the best guys in the company. He just could flow in a promo for 45 minutes and never have any issues. In the ring, he was dangerous. Not to anyone else, to himself. Like, everyone says that Simon Gotch got fired because he injured Enzo. Enzo injured himself. He took that bump wrong. That was Enzo's fault. That was not Simon Gotch's fault, who actually I saw at Heavy Lies the Crown, Beyond Wrestling on New Year's Eve. He shaved his mustache, and I didn't like it. I did not recognize him at all. I had no idea who this guy was in the ring. Enzo had the opportunity to transition into a manager role. And you're right. He would still be there if he had just come clean. I don't know what happened. I don't know if the allegations were true.
The allegations were dropped. So if in my opinion, if allegations are dropped, they weren't legit.
I mean, at the end of the day, I think this individual was looking for attention. And if there was some sort of situation between her and Enzo, it sounds like it was just a situation between the two of them. And I think that in this situation, if she really felt that she was, assaulted in some way, like, she didn't go about it the right way. You don't just go put someone on blast on Twitter. You need to do certain things. Enzo has been his own worst enemy since all of this happened. There was always an opportunity for them to bring him back. It may have been, look at Hogan.
Do I have to?
I wish we didn't. You would have enjoyed one of the episodes of Nitro that I watched last night. Kevin Sullivan, the Giant attacked Hulk Hogan, and then Kevin Sullivan shaved off his trademark mustache, and I couldn't stop laughing because he looks so awkward without his mustache. And Hogan is. Do you want to talk real quick about the crowd reaction that he got on Raw 2 weeks ago?
Happily. We discussed it briefly on Good Cop, Bad Cop when Darren guested when Graham was sick, and it was probably the biggest Bad Cop moment of 2019 already. The fact that he actually was there in the first place. It was just
the fact that he was there in the first place was just stupid. And okay. You want to honor.
They had the perfect chance to actually make it heartfelt, but they literally used it as a pure opportunity to push merch. They thought,
and that was the problem, is they were pushing Hogan merchandise when he shows up in a Mean Gene shirt. Like, why aren't we pushing the Mean Gene shirt? Because I don't even think that was available. Like, that wasn't a thing that you could buy. I would have bought that shirt.
Happily.
I'm not going to buy a Hulkamania shirt.
No, Hulkamania is dead now. I'm sorry, Vince. Hulkamania, stop trying to live off it. It's been 35 years now. Let it die. Okay? Mean Genomania, I'm sorry, that ain't going to fly either. It doesn't trim off the tongue well enough. It doesn't work well enough. But, give him a break.
I see. The issue I have with it is when you bring Hogan in, they say Hulk Hogan is going to appear on Monday Night Raw. And rightfully so, there's a lot of concern. A lot of fans are concerned. A lot of talent is concerned. People are concerned because of his track record of just being a shitbag. And it is what it is. He's not the say your prayers and take your vitamins guy that we thought he was. He doesn't give a shit. He's there for money. The fact that...
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, absolutely right. It breaks your heart a bit, doesn't it, away?
It really does, because, I looked up to him as a kid. I was, from a time when kayfabe was still so important. Like, anyone who was watching WCW in 96, knew how big Hogan's heel turn was, because Hogan will never turn heel. He's a superhero. He would never do bad things, and he is the bad guy now, and he was the bad guy for years in WCW, and that was huge. That actually changed the landscape of pro wrestling, because it made it so that a top babyface could have a heel run, and I think that was super important because it's happened so many times since then, which is why I think that, since he's winding down, why not let Cena do a year as a heel just for funsies? But that's neither here nor there. When it comes to Hogan...
I'll get to Cena in a minute. Carry on.
So when it comes to Hogan, I remember Triple H. When Triple H tore his quad, he was out for 9 months, something like that. A year, I don't know. It was around there.
Yeah.
And watching an interview with him where he talks about it, he talks about standing behind that curtain the night he's returning. It was already announced that he was returning, which, WWE, stop it. No more announcing shit. Just let it happen. He's sitting behind the curtain, and he goes, I don't know what kind of reaction I'm going to get. I don't know if I'm going to be cheered. I don't know if I'm going to be booed, or I don't know if it's going to be dead silent. Because the worst thing as a pro wrestler is silence, because that's no reaction. People, everyone's always so mean to Roman. Oh, everyone's always so mean to Cena. The crowd is the loudest when those two guys are out there. Whether they're booing them or cheering them, whether they're supposed to be a face or a heel, it doesn't matter. The crowd is invested. The crowd is interacting. The crowd
Absolutely.
is raucous.
A prime example of that before that, the only person who I can remember taking that kind of visceral heat in recent years was Vicky Guerrero. Oh,
yeah.
The heat that she could generate was unbelievable. And if you can generate, it doesn't matter if you're, as you say, cheering or booing, doesn't matter. Reaction is all that matters. I mean, when I point to someone right now on the roster who gets cricket on a regular basis, Lashley.
Yeah.
And
everyone seems to think he's failing.
And that's with the hype man in his corner. That Lashley.
Go away. I hate him so much.
So it's designed to wind us up. It's designed to irritate us, and it is, but it's also making us go fast forward.
It's true, and obviously things are a little different now because there is on demand, there's Hulu, there's the network replays, there's stuff like that, and we can skip around as need be. But at the end of the day, and I said it on Twitter before he came back, if we as a fan base really wanted to send a message to WWE, to Hulk Hogan, to Vince McMahon, when his music hit on Raw, the crowd should have been dead fucking silent.
Well,
no reaction.
Well, the weird thing is that it may just have been me, but it wasn't the loudest reaction, was it, on Raw?
No, it wasn't, but it was cheers. People were cheering because everyone got bit by the nostalgia bug at the same time, and everyone went, "Oh my God, it's Hulk Hogan!" Now I've been there. Now, obviously, this was before all of the unpleasantness that was Hulk Hogan, but I was there at Backlash in 2005, where the two Middle Eastern characters, I forget,
Muhammad Hassan and Khosrow Davari.
Yes, and it was them versus Shawn Michaels and a mystery opponent, and he said, well, if I'm going to fight off the evil invaders, I need a real American. And Hogan comes out. It was Hogan and Shawn Michaels teaming up, which was crazy. And I mean, I popped hard because that was insane. That was so cool to see. It's like two icons of two different generations teaming up. Now you see that every week because they've got nothing left. But like, nostalgia bug can bite you. I still pop when I hear Lesnar's music. I know I'm in for a disappointing time when he comes out, but his theme song, his entrance, even without the pyro, his entrance is so energetic and so, like, and not to mention you're probably going to hear the sweet, soothing sound of Paul Heyman's voice. So, I'm usually happy. Lesnar! I love Paul Heyman. He is the greatest thing that ever happened in pro wrestling.
How he's not in the Hall of Fame already is beyond me. He will be one day for certain.
Oh yeah, it's because he's active. That's the only reason. I think. I was actually thinking about this the other day that they should start a new wing of the Hall of Fame that's for promotions. And
ECW and WWE would be there for certain, obviously.
Yeah, but because I mean, you have so many promotions that they could enter in there. You could go even further and do like different parts of the NWA territory.
Yeah.
Like, you think that Billy Corgan is going to say no if Vince McMahon calls him and says we want to put something involving the NWA in the Hall of Fame? Billy Corgan's going to go, great, more eyes on my product. You
Absolutely.
know? He's not going to say no because he's a businessman and he's a pro wrestling fan. He's been very open that he has studied WWE to see what he can do with the NWA because he has a long road ahead of him bringing the NWA from where it is now.
He'd be stupid not to be fair. But
yeah,
little quiz question for you, little trivia quiz question for you. Who was the first active inductee in the WWE Hall of Fame? The first person to be active at the time when they were inducted. I was about one off of here. I mean, as an active member of a roster.
That is a good question. An active member of the WWE roster, I'm assuming.
Yes.
I have to think back. I would probably Foley?
No.
I mean, it must be earlier then. It's not Mark Henry, is it?
No, he wasn't the first.
Okay. I honestly have no idea. It's like, I don't know, Mae Young. She was kind of active.
Mark Henry would agree with that one, perhaps, but no. Birth to a hand. Fantastic image. No, I'll say one word to give it away straight away. Woo!
Yeah. No, yeah, he was still...
WrestleMania 24, he was inducted before the night before he retired.
Yep.
Very pub quiz questions, as we say here in the UK. Trivia is my specialty. That's why I'm able to pull these facts out and everything and impress people, because that's what I remember. I remember the facts. That's it.
That makes sense. And I mean, honestly, like, if you talk about legends anyways, like, people can, you know, everyone always says, like, up until the unpleasantness, that Hulk Hogan was the biggest name that the sport ever had. I always argue that Ric Flair was, because he was everywhere before Hogan was everywhere. Do you want me to tell you something that's really, really, really scary and perhaps a little bit ashamed to say?
Go for it. I started watching professional wrestling in December 2000, right? That's common knowledge, right? That's when I started first going to wrestling properly, right? So I've done a lot of looking back since then. We're talking, 19 years later. However, by the time the invasion angle ended, like a year later, and Ric Flair came out onto the stage, to become the kayfabe co-owner, he came out onto the stage, and I was like, who's he?
Ooh. Ouch.
Because I'd never seen him.
It's true. But that's understandable. Like, I mean, to this day, I'm sure when Batista came back a couple of years ago, there were a lot of people who went, who? Like, who is this guy?
Well, actually, they'd know him from the Marvel films now, of course. So.
Well, that's true. But, there's a lot of people, like, I started with WCW. So to me, like, that era that you're talking about, that initial invasion angle when, WCW was being absorbed into WWE or, WWF at the time. Yeah. That was, to me, as poorly as that angle took place, that to me was one of my favorite times in wrestling because I got to see things that I never thought would happen. I've always had a rule. My rule is no dirt sheet information within 24 to 48 hours of, Raw, Nitro, whatever it was, and usually about a week before a pay-per-view, because I hate when things get spoiled. I don't like to know about returns. I don't like to know about debuts. I like to actually enjoy myself. I was not aware that WWF had purchased WCW I turned on Nitro that night. It was so well kept secret. I remember seeing something on the network about Road Dogg. I mean, he'd just been let go from
WWE because of various problems he was having. We'll go into
drugs.
Yeah. And he'd gone down to Florida to try and get a job with WCW, and all of a sudden that night he goes there to try and get a job, and Shane rocks up, and he's like, shit.
So like
nobody knew in the business either. It was so kept secret, so kept quiet. I mean, Bischoff tried, of course, but he didn't get in. But he didn't get it for one reason or another. So
because the last I had heard before that, I knew that WCW was in trouble, and I knew that Ted was trying to sell. That's all I knew. The last I had heard, because I actually had tickets to a Nitro maybe 4 or 5 months before that, and they canceled it. They just said, we're refunding tickets. And I knew that WCW was in trouble. The last I heard was that Bischoff put a bid to buy the company, which what could have been, like had Bischoff had full control of that company, I still think WCW might still be around today had that happened. But we got so many things. So, I mean, first and foremost, seeing Vince McMahon on WCW television and vice versa, because I flipped channels as soon as that happened to see that the exact same thing was being broadcasted on Raw, and it blew my mind. But then, fast forward a couple of years, and like to play off what you said, Vince McMahon announces the new general manager of Monday Night Raw, Eric Bischoff, and to see Eric Bischoff on WWE television blew my mind, and because that was the enemy. And like,
this is another part I've got to say is he walked down the stage. I was like, who? Because I didn't watch WCW. I've for the rest of the tape, I've just killed JRT from the sound of it.
Yeah, it happens. I mean, like I said, I was always a WCW fan. To this day, I will fight and I will die on this hill. The Attitude Era, the height of the Monday Night War, when WCW and WWF were at their best.
Absolutely.
WCW still had better pro wrestling. WWF eventually had better storylines. They had better characters. They never had better wrestling. That's it. That period. If you watch even to the end of WCW when the company was in the shitter, they still had better professional wrestling. And they had a lot of guys that, WCW sucks. WWF is so much better now. And all these guys who, quote unquote, sucked, eventually went to WWE and were lauded as like some of the best performers ever. Go ahead. I think you had your hand raised.
I did have my hand raised, which is something I don't usually do. I try and butt in, but I thought that you'd finished your point. Do you remember a promo that The Rock cut when Booker T first came out to confront him? Booker T said that I'm the 5-time WWE champion, sucker. And Rock said, you're the 5-time WWE champion, sucker? And then started listing off all the people who had been the WWE champion. And when he was saying like stuff like the guy from Scream 2, I was like, that's just a joke he's making there. And now, obviously, since then, I feel like he wasn't actually joking. The guy from Scream 2 actually was the WWE champion, of course. And that's
19 years later, he's an actual pro wrestler.
Yeah, and quite a good one by all accounts.
Oh no, he's good. The fact that he went toe to toe with Nick Gage in a death match, I give him all the credit in the world.
Absolutely.
I've met Nick Gage. He's a nice guy. He really is. He's not a terrible human being to talk to.
Yeah.
Like he's a pretty polite dude. I would not step in the ring with him if you paid me all of the money. I'd go, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
I forfeit.
I mean, we talk from one back episode to another. That's something I wouldn't do, and I'm very happy. I think I probably got the same message you just did as well.
But going back to the point, so I want to like point out like the difference of pro wrestling finesse in WCW compared to WWF at the time. I watched, like I said, I watched a bunch of Nitros last night, and first and foremost, one of the Nitros had the warning before it. WWE performers are actors, blah, 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 they do not convey the real life, blah, 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 whatever. The only reason that was there was a 10-second vignette of Chris Benoit. So they put up the warning. And I'm like, all right, guys, like, I get it. But...
Oh, that's a perfect segue for one moment. Carry on.
So, one of the matches, middle of the card, and it was overshadowed by a Hogan, of course, promo that was going on backstage. But even getting interrupted by a promo, random match, out of nowhere, just a hell of a Nitro match, Eddie Guerrero versus Dean Malenko. It was a thing of beauty. It was one of... It was such a well done match.
Absolutely.
It wasn't even funny how good it was. They also had, I haven't spoiled myself yet because I like to look up old wrestlers because sometimes they use a different name in WCW and I forget who they were in WWF or something like that. But there was in the same Nitro, there's a match between Sabu and Mr. JL. Guy in a mask, no idea. Pretty sure it's Jerry Lynn, though. Just the way they wrestled together.
For my own benefit, I'm going to in-ter-net to find out who it was.
Do not tell me, because if there's a reveal later, I want to know. I don't want to know. I started Nitro at number 1, and I'm going to go through WCW. It's going to take me a couple years, but it's going to happen.
Do you want me to see if I found out who it is? Do you want me to find out if there is a reveal or not?
No.
Okay.
I'll get there.
I won't say anything.
And actually this takes us full circle right back to kind of where we started. This is what AEW needs to do. They need to give us top-notch wrestling and cut down on the bullshit. If you take any given Raw, and let's say after commercials, a Raw is roughly 2 hours and 15 minutes. Give or take.
Yeah, give or take.
There's about an hour and 15 minutes of actual wrestling. And that's it. On a 1 hour Nitro, so that's about 45 minutes after it's all done, there's about 35 minutes of wrestling. It's just granted the focus was different back then, but WCW always focused on in-ring action. All of their interviews were usually done in ring.
Yeah.
Mean Gene is in the ring with Ric Flair.
Ramp.
Yeah. Post-match interviews where the wrestlers going to the back and Mean Gene met them at the entryway and was like, you just had a great match against so-and-so. How you feeling?
Have you noticed that WWE started doing that in the middle of the ring after the matches?
They have. However, I think they're doing it poorly.
I agree, but it's different.
It is.
And it is a bit retro. I quite like it.
It is different, and I like that they're trying to do it. I don't think that WWE should be going a retro route right now. I think that WWE should be going a new, fresh route.
I don't argue that, and it's route, not
problem.
route. But that's another story for entirely. But
yeah. Well, this is why we don't bow to the Queen anymore, okay?
Nor do we, love. Nor do we, mate. Right, okay. You completely trashed my segue because you segued about Chris Benoit. You mentioned Chris Benoit.
All you gotta do is go segue, and you're fine.
Yeah, well, yeah, that. You mentioned the Rabid Wolverine, who WWE refused to mention ever again. Have you seen the little thing they put up? They're all the #1 entrants in Royal Rumble history. Pictures, everything. They were letting themselves in for this one, unfortunately. At the last count, 371 comments on Twitter of the pictures. Where's 2004? Where's 2004? Where's 2004? Where's Chris Benoit? Where's Chris Benoit? Where's Chris Benoit? Eventually, WWE is going to have to admit that he did wrestle for you guys. You're going to have to mention him by name at some point. I get he's not going to go in the Hall of Fame at any point. I fully respect that decision, and I fully agree with that decision. But you've got to accept he was in the company.
I agree. You know what? It's
and probably and arguably the greatest tag wrestler that ever wrestled at that company.
The way I look at it is there are two different people. There's Chris Benoit, the pro wrestler.
Yeah.
And there was the Chris Benoit that did what he did. He was sick. He was ill. Because if someone who has a brain, disorder or a brain injury commits a crime and they get sentenced for it, and it's found that they actually did not understand because their brain was broken, they're not sentenced to death. They're sent to a hospital facility where they're treated for the issues that they have. And unfortunately, nobody survived.
No. Unfortunately, people say, I've heard some people say that maybe it was someone who set it up so he would actually look like he actually killed him. I hope and pray that, in a way, that was the case to try to protect his legacy. But, end of the day, I accept it. But WWE, I'm just saying, WWE, you really let yourself... If people are going to start complaining about him not being in these big pictures, don't do these articles. You're onto a hiding to nothing on this one.
No, it's counterproductive. And unfortunately, there are a lot of performers who have worked for your company who have done horrible things.
Yeah.
If you set the precedent that none of them ever existed, then why do you even have a Hall of Fame? Why do you have an alumni section of your website? Why do you have any of this if at the drop of a hat, it comes out that someone's a piece of shit? Because guess what? There are a lot of people in the world, and unfortunately, especially back then, now it's a little different, but back then, it took a special kind of crazy to choose that profession because it wasn't like it is now.
No.
There wasn't guaranteed money. There wasn't any health insurance. There wasn't, you had to be a special kind of either religiously devout pro wrestling fan or a little bit tapped in the head to choose that lifestyle.
Absolutely. The amount of chairs I took at the backyard. And these weren't folding metal chairs. These metal chairs didn't bend when they hit you in the head. They were real painful. So
I've got a nice one right here I can hit you with.
Bring it to New Jersey. It's fine. Right. And your Barbie. Stop eating your Barbie.
That happens at a lot of shows. I actually don't sit here. I'm in Scott's seat right now. But anyways, I
had one more point to make, but I've forgotten what it is now.
Well, you got about 2 minutes to figure it out.
I figured what it was. Talking about Hall of Fame and people who aren't going to be in at any point. Triple H was asked a couple of years ago, but was China ever going to go to the Hall of Fame? And he said, China deserves to be in there, but thinking the people Google her, all that comes up is going to be her in porn. Newsflash, Triple H. Paige, Xavier Woods, Hulk Hogan. Who you put back in the Hall of Fame this year.
What about Brad Maddox? He should be in the Hall of Fame too, but that's just me.
Yeah.
I loved Brad Maddox, but everyone has a pass, and who is a current top mid-card female performer? Good friends with Alexa Bliss, married to Nick Aldis. Man, I'm forgetting her name.
Mickey James.
You can see her butthole on the internet if you search hard enough. And by hard enough, I mean not very hard at all. You can see her butthole on the internet. But Mickey James still works for the company.
And
and
let's not forget the cut part from the WrestleMania 22 match as well.
Yeah. How about the fact that X-Pac was on has been on WWE TV since he was also in a sex tape with China. Like, you have to either draw the line in the sand and say on this side you're good, on this side you're bad, or you need to just say, you know what? Everyone has their demons. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone makes choices. So, Vince McMahon pitched a storyline where he wanted to pretend to fuck his daughter.
Yep, and then he pitched it for Shane to have fucked his daughter.
Vince McMahon actively did a storyline where he would very graphically make out with a woman 40 years younger than him in front of his wife. Now, Granted, I mean, I'd probably make the same decision. Trish is gorgeous, but how is that any different other than the actual seeing of, pound? How is, that storyline was practically pornographic.
Absolutely, unfortunately. I mean, that's where the whole phrase of stratisfaction really came from as well, wasn't it? Thankfully, she managed to bounce back from that and became arguably the greatest women's champion of all time.
She did. And that's why we'll end that on a very positive note of that's why everyone needs to stop burying Mandy Rose because she's doing a provocative storyline. She's going to be fine. She's going to go places, I think, because I think she has an immense amount of charisma, an immense amount. You don't like it? You don't like their storyline?
I don't like it at all. I think it's out of place in this era.
I will agree to disagree because if you look at the internet, this is what people have been asking for. Risque storylines.
Risque storylines is fine, but not when you're starting to mess with a real life couple. If it's a kayfabe couple, that's fine, but not a real life couple. All
right, so now we have to go an extra 5 minutes because this is not the first time they've done this.
I know. I don't agree with it then either.
Edge and Lita was far worse than this.
I agree.
Because this is still very much a storyline.
I was uncomfortable with that as well. I was uncomfortable when they put that into a storyline as well. I was extremely uncomfortable with that then as well. I was equally uncomfortable with Aiden English and Lana as well.
However, I will say that the aggression between two professionals in Matt Hardy and Edge was brilliant for their matches.
Absolutely.
Because those were brutal. They kicked the shit out of each other because they had a lot of pent-up aggression. Because I've heard as of now, they're cool. Everything's fine between them. They're friends again.
They buried their hands because they were able to get their hands on each other. And Matt particularly was able to get his anger out of them. I mean, him and Lita are probably never sending their Christmas cards anymore, but I think they've buried the hatchet.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's funny because Edge and Matt seem to be fine, and Lita's not involved with anyone in the situation anymore. Everyone's happily married, and then Lita is kind of in obscurity right now. But we do need to wrap it up.
Yes.
Thank you, Matt, for joining me. Thank you for filling in for my cohorts who are off doing. I think it's Scott's kid's birthday today. Happy birthday to Mini High Voltage.
Absolutely. It's his birthday, and seeing as we're still up to talk about birthdays, also happy birthday on the record to young Mason Bagshaw, who can't.
It is Mason's birthday.
Who can't listen to this podcast. Of course, he will not be allowed to listen to this podcast. So Graham, pass on our good wishes to him.
Yes, happy birthday, Mason. I'm no longer smarter than a 10-year-old. I am now smarter than an 11-year-old.
Yeah,
it is what it is.
It is, but wait till you're smart than a 5-year-old kid.
I'm not even smarter than a 1-year-old.
I'm
actually on episode 56. We're hoping to do a quiz between myself and Melissa's newborn. I do not expect to win, but I will do my damnedest to beat that little Josh Briggs. It'll happen. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Twitter, Facebook, website, do all that stuff. Follow Matt at
At the
Say your thing again.
At the Matt Attack UK. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me usually trashing JRT. It's all good fun. And I'll see you soon, guys. I'm out of here.
Take it easy, brother.